Hello, we're going to be painting the turquoise tree today. So first, let's talk about brushes. We have a number 8 filbert. It's also called a cat's tongue because of the shape. We have a number 2 filbert, and you see it's cat's tongue. We have our script brushes that we're going to be using for detail. We have a number 2 and a 0. Okay. And then we have some round brushes for the leaves of the tree, and you can see they're well used, and these are just perfect for making those. And then we have a regular round detail brush number 2, and that is going to be for the smaller pieces of the trunk. Okay, we have our canvas all ready, and let's talk about our paints. So we have our Stay Wet palette, and we have Grumbracher Titanium White. There's quite a bit of that. We can always get more out. We have Payne's Gray Grumbracher. We have Mars Black. And we have Turquoise Green. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint this whole background with white, a little bit of gray. Just going to paint it in. We'll grab some more when we need it. We want to fill all the canvas. So that none of the white shows. This is a moody evening feel. We're blending on the canvas. Not on our palette. Now, I'm going to also do the edges. Okay, there we have it. Now, let me clean my brush real good. I have several waters, and I want to make sure that my brush is nice and clean. I'll rinse it again in clean water. I do have paper towel for drying. I'll set that aside and grab a blow dryer. I spilled some water on it. Go back, fix those spots. Okay, this is a good example of if the paint is not dry and you spill water on it, it lifts the paint right off. So it made these spots, and so they're easily covered up with paint that's not watered down. And once you have your canvas dry, you can put more layers of paint on there. Okay, and so much of this is going to be covered up by the moon and by the tree. That won't matter that much. Okay, so now I have a circle template that I made previously for the moon. I'm going to put it over here. It's just simply a circle I drew out of a large plate. Many circle templates. And then you draw around it like such. Now you have your moon. Now I'm going to go ahead with the same white and Payne's gray and start my painting my moon. Now you can turn your canvas any way you want so that you can get the edge just right. And just pull it along like such. That gives you a nice smooth line. And then of course the inside one is all bumpy and you just like that. Pull it along the edge. Excuse me. That is my beautiful, one of my beautiful cats. So I'm just going to paint our moon in. And when we want to, we can get just a little of that Payne's gray and work it in like this for our craters. Just really move it around a little bit. And you can use a very light touch there at the end. Just kind of blend it. And again, turn the canvas any way that you need to for this time. Need some more white. I'm going to get some of this paint wet over here so I can get a finer line, but I don't want to use too much water. Just kind of mix it out here. There we go. As you can get a finer line. Yeah, that comes off the brush nice and smooth now. If your paint is too thick, it's a little harder to move around. But you can always come back over this with another layer. So layers, layers, layers. They're a beautiful thing. Always start with the background and work your way forward when you're doing the painting. So the background was the sky, and then the moon in the sky, and then the tree in front of the moon. So in this case, our moon is in the middle ground. Nice and round. You want to go just over that pencil line so the pencil does not show. We have thick enough paint here that it's not lifting at all. And the paint that I'm using is not really that watery, so it's not lifting the paint underneath it. Just a little bit of blend that in. If I use this tap, it kind of makes it feel like craters. Blend it. See how it's starting to really look like the moon. Now, you could take a really high quality image of the moon and use that as a guide for where to put your craters. You will not want to get precise. That is the way to do it. So today's example, I'm just making a pretend moon craters because craters don't move on the moon. They're always basically the same. So yeah, you could get a beautiful image of the moon and copy the layout of the craters, and that would just be spectacular. So you can see how that makes this beautiful moon take shape. Once you're happy with it, go ahead and clean your brush. This time I'm not going to spill canvas. So clean my brush. Now these Bristlette, Grumbacher Bristlette filbert brushes are really sturdy. So you don't really have to worry about hurting them too much. And again, I'm going to go to my cleaner water and use it to make sure all the paint is out, because it's very important to take care of your brushes. No, there's still more paint in there. Okay, dry the brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. Nice and clean. Okay, now blow dry the moon. Make sure it's good and dry. Okay. Now, the next thing to do is to put in the tree. So we have a couple options for the tree. We can use a template like this that I drew and cut out. Okay, which is a valid way to transfer a image onto a canvas. And the more you do, the more your hand and brain connection makes those synapses connect. So it trains you. The other way to do it is to draw it on a piece of paper. In this instance, I used tracing paper, and you can see the image behind it, so you know where you want to position your tree. And then once you get that set, you get a piece of carbon paper, and you just put that in place. And that carbon paper is not large enough. Okay. So you can pick up carbon paper at a craft store, also at a office supply store. Now, the thing that you want to do to make it sure that your image doesn't move is to use just a little painter's tape to hold it in place. Okay, and now you press and draw out the design. Now, of course, this design changes slightly as you paint it, so you don't need to be very precise necessarily. Depends on how much you want to put down on there. You know, trees in nature usually are not, the branches are not exactly across from one another. So you just observe trees to decide how you want them to look. And there's so many trees with different looks. So I'm going to try to know the tree that you're drawing and painting so that all that can be as accurate as you want. Even if it's a little whimsical, you just do that. Now you can check to see how it looks by pulling it back. It looks good. As long as you've got all of it covered, and you can look at it. Now it's rather light because I was not pressing hard, but that's okay. You just need the idea of it in there so that now that you're going to apply the paint, you are not just freeform. It makes it a little easier. Okay, so I want to get my brush wet and dip into the Mars Black. And I want it a little bit wet because I want it to flow nice and smooth on my canvas. Okay, and now you just go along the edge of that tree. And we can fill it in some more. Right now we're just doing the edge. Now if you apply heavy pressure, the brush is going to lay flat. But if you only touch it ever so slightly, the brush, you use just the tip, it will keep a nice small line. So depending on the pressure that you apply, it depends on how large your stroke. So right now I'm just going to be doing this edge of the tree. And remember, the tree trunks and branches are wider the closer to the trunk it is, the branches, and the trunk is wider the closer it is to the ground. So we want to make sure we keep that principle in mind. My beautiful kitty is going to make an appearance. Are you helping, Saru? brush down. Okay, go over there. uh, not too straight. We want this tree to be this kind of whimsical. We want it to be. And again, like I said, turn your canvas however you need to get that. Even though you had the basic tree in place, you definitely want to add to it as you go. Whatever you feel comes up as there should be a branch here. So this part of the tree is a silhouette. That's why we're using the Mars Black. Don't use Mars Black very often. But this is one thing that I use it for is when you're doing a silhouette. And you want to go around the edge a little bit so that the tree actually goes around the edge. I probably put out way more Mars Black than I'm going to need today. But I'm sure I'll use it on something else. That's one of the beauties of the Stay Wet palette is that it stays wet. You can just keep working with it. See my brush touched here on the moon where I didn't want it. So I'll show you what we can do. Because we blow dried, you can wipe that away with a little bit of water. So we got clean brush, it's a little bit of water, and you can just wipe that away. Alternatively, if you wanted, you could just make your tree a little wider right there. There's no mistakes in art because you can just change it slightly. If this is a calm, relaxing thing to do, you don't need to stress out. continue branch. Now you see how this is wide, this is skinny. That means we need to widen this back here until it's the appropriate width all the way down. Look at that. We have a tree. Now all you have to do is add more little branches if you want. This should be a little wider right there. Yeah. Okay. Clean that brush nice. And now we're going to blow dry it. And then we're going to start putting in some of the leaves. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want some of the, use this brush to mix some paint here. I want some Payne's gray mixed with white, a dark gray, not quite as dark as the pure Payne's. There we go, like that. Get the paint off and clean that brush. Okay. And now I'm going to take one of my rounds that is well worn, and I'm going to dip into that. I'm just not going to fill the brush, I just want it on there on the tip. And then I'm going to put some of this, some gray, kind of pounce it. And it just gives these beautiful little look of these leaves. Now some of them don't have to be attached to the tree because some of these little branches are so small you might not even see them. So everywhere where the moon is, I want some of these gray. And this is the background of the leaves. So the leaves are going to go in layers. And the tree goes off the page. And so just keep it going because you want that feel to still be there. Stuck on your canvas. It is totally around the page. And there even some goes in front of your tree here. Okay. And maybe a little bit darker. Payne's gray right here in front of the tree. It's not playtime. It's paint time. Let's see here. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to blow dry. And we'll add some of that beautiful turquoise green. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. Some fresh water because that's pretty dark. Look at how it cleans it. Once it's clean, it only leaves water, no color. Your paper towel is good. Let it dry. You can use it again. Many multicolored paper towels. Okay, so now we're going to blow dry and then do our turquoise. Okay. So now with my dry brush, this is another one of those rounds that's been well used. I'm going to just dip into it. And then I'm going to do the same thing and pounce right over what I already have here. You kind of want some paint, not too much. See how that blobbed? You don't want too much. You want some of that darker to show through. You don't want to cover it all up. See, it automatically all of a sudden starts changing the look. And make sure you get nice. Now I switched brushes. I didn't have to. This is a different brush than the other. I kind of like the other brush. Yes. You can just practice doing this pouncing so that you figure out how you want to use your brush, how the color is going to affect it. Pounce hard, what it's going to look like. If you do lightly, what it'll look like. Just practice. That's the best thing you can do. Practice, 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 practice. And don't worry, you don't have to have a masterpiece every time you paint. You just practice. It's already looking cool. I'm kind of making it a little more stark than the last one. I'm wondering if I should do another. I think I'm going to do another. Oh yeah, like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and blow dry that one I just did. Okay, now the turquoise green again. Let me go ahead and put some of that over this. I'll bring that forward. And give it a nice pounce. All right. Now this time, I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to get into the white, and I'm not going to mix on the palette. Just going to grab some of the two colors together on my brush, and then I'm going to go ahead and pounce back over these areas, and you see how it adds depth. Again, a little bit here and there. And pounce lightly at first until you figure out what pressure you want on You keep working on it, and see how it just starts to come forward. So you have that depth of the leaves. Remember to pounce lightly every time you load your brush until you decide that you have the right amount of paint that you want. Remember, it goes off page. You want the colors to come together on the canvas, not on the palette. Just this tree is not near as full as the last one. I like it. And so that is how you paint a turquoise tree. And now all I have to do is clean my brushes and sign my work, and we're done. Thank you for painting with me today. Have a wonderful day.